What's going on, guys? It's Mr. DEBT Joe Lorick from the Money Etiquette Group here with another IPO video for you. And today we're talking about TGIF. Yes, Fridays, TGI Fridays, the restaurant. A lot of you have visited Fridays, whether you were a child, whether you went as a family, dating, watching a game at the bar. Many of you have been in Fridays to eat or to drink. I would say maybe 80 to 90% of you that are watching this video, you've been to Fridays. And you're going to have the opportunity to invest in 2020. They were public once in the past, but they're not public now. They're a private company. But because of a merger that's going to take place, TGIF will be a publicly traded company in 2020, likely after the first quarter of 2020. Now, how did this happen? A lot of you are wondering, when did this happen? How did this happen? Well, it's not official yet. An agreement has been put in place, but it's not official yet in terms of it being executed. But again, an agreement has been made between Allegro Merger Company. Okay, Allegro Merger Company, by the way, is a publicly traded company. And what they do is they buy private companies or interest in private companies and take them public so that they can be purchased on the stock market. So Allegro is going to purchase, or has an agreement to kind of merge and purchase Fridays via purchasing their debt. So once this purchase is approved through Allegro board members, TGIF investors will receive about $30 million in stocks and cash. Some of those stocks will come in the form of Allegro stock. They're publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. I believe their ticker is ALGR. It may be ALRG, but I think it's ALGR, and they're publicly traded right now on the New York Stock Exchange. Nevertheless, investors will receive cash and stock mixtures depending on what they agree to, but this again won't be official until after the first quarter of 2020. What Allegro is doing is they're picking up approximately $350 million of Friday's debt. So they're going to balance their books by picking up their debt, which makes them the majority owner, or pretty much puts them in position to go ahead and take this company public so that it can be traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, I know that was a lot to figure out. It's not a typical IPO because we're talking about a business combination transaction that usually you don't see take place, but this is what Allegro does. Again, they don't have a bunch of offices. They don't have a bunch of employees. They simply purchase companies that look like they need help, like Fridays. They buy up their debt, and then they make sure that their company or Fridays, whoever they purchase, becomes publicly traded because they're not in the business of keeping companies private. Now, if you want to know what Fridays looks like on the books, how they look when it comes to revenue, sales, what are they worth, how many franchises are out there, how many restaurants are out there, here are the stats that you're looking for. As of 2019, there are 396 restaurants in the United States. I'm talking about TGIF Fridays restaurants. Approximately 252 of those are franchises, so most of them are franchises. The rest are owned by the organization, by the company. When it comes to the international appeal and the international reach of Fridays, we're talking about 840 restaurants in 52 different countries, which about 83% of those restaurants are franchises, and they make up for 70% of the organization's profits. So 70%, again, of profits, whether in the US or international, come from franchises. So the franchise business is huge. Yes, they do have stores that are owned by the company, but 70% of the profits are coming from franchises. Also, TGI Fridays is not just in the restaurant business. They're also in the consumer packaging good licensing business. If you go to the frozen food section in your favorite grocery store, I'm sure you're going to see TGIF branded food and licensed food. It doesn't mean that TGIF is actually making the food, but they do license their name on certain packages of consumer food goods. So they have a good share in that industry. So you have mostly they're making their money from restaurants and from their franchises, but they also do license some of their some food and consumer packaged foods in your local grocery stores. Now, when it comes to sales from September 2018 to September 2019, we're talking about $2 billion worth of sales. And I'm talking about combining the franchise and owned restaurant sales and also the consumer packaged goods and licensing sales. So again, we're talking about $2 billion worth of sales over a one-year period from September 2018 to September 2019. So what will the company look like once the purchase is fully approved through Allegro? It seems that their books are going to be balanced. They're paying off their debt, so they're going to look good. It's going to leverage them to open up more restaurants, to improve on their delivery services. Ultimately, they want to adjust for the coming times where delivery is a big part of how people eat, but they also want to entice people into the restaurants by making sure that new locations are built up and they kind of reflect today versus reflecting the bar that's coming out of the 80s or 90s. So we should see some changes in some of the restaurants, especially the business-owned restaurants rather than the franchises themselves. Now, we will see where things go, and we will get more information as we get closer to the merger being approved. Of course, at that point, I believe we'll see more revenue reports. I believe we'll see more about their assets and liabilities and their expenses. So we'll see more come 2020. But for now, this is the information that we do have. However, I want to know from you guys if you're likely to invest if it becomes or when it becomes a publicly traded company. I mean, Fridays is something that's been around. It's been a staple of a lot of communities for years. For some people, it's been their entire lives. They've been going to Fridays since childhood, and they're adults now. And I want to know from you guys if you're looking to invest, or do you feel like this is a dying industry? Do you feel like the dining in experience is dying? Do you feel like that's something that's of the past, and as we move forward into 2020, 2030, we're going to see more people that use delivery than dine in, and that restaurant business and that platform will die out, meaning that it's not a worthy investment? Let me know in the comment section what you think, especially if you're a fan of Fridays. Are you going to invest just because you're a fan? And then how much would you pay? I mean, we're talking about, what are they going to be, $30, $40 shares? Are they $10 shares, $50 shares? What's the price point that you're willing to invest in a restaurant chain like Fridays? Also, guys, don't forget, hit the subscribe button and make sure you turn on your notifications, because you don't know when the next IPO video is coming out. I make these videos based on announcements, and I can't predict when all announcements will come, but you want to be ready when it hits the market, because if you miss an opportunity, if you're a day late, you're a day short and a dollar short. Also, you know, we make videos for childhood development when it comes to multiplication, addition, and budgeting, understanding money. We also make videos about music and money. We make videos about the economy, about sports, about investing, about financial literacy and financial freedom. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm sure you'll find something that you like. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comment section.